28th of the 11th 2023, and it was not a very good night last night. In fact, I don't usually do this. Obviously I didn't go out my door, but I had to get a knife ready. The staff at supported housing think that the neighbour Matthew Honeysett wasn't in last night, so obviously I didn't see him. I don't know who was in, but regardless of who was in, it was a fucking rough night. Anything from like smashing your fucking teeth in, to breaking your legs, to taking your fucking life, injecting you with HIV, shooting you down, having you at fucking knife point at a traffic lights and injecting you with HIV if you don't go down in a fist fight, or stuff like once my fist, if I don't have him down in a fucking fight with my fist, then I'll fucking use a knife on him to finish the fight. Anyway, we get past all that, and then we're forced to have roughly 200 loud bikes timed to an erection from 5:55 a.m. onwards, and obviously the setups have been moderate coming down here, not good. Setups seem to say that it was very unusual this. It's trying to say that I'm a spastic. We're saying that I was stupid because I haven't had sex with either Stephanie Hill or Amanda Millis. Or Stephanie Jill or whatever, and we're making a suggestion of that. Well, it's too late for both of those. One, Stephanie's gone into negative attraction, and only in the last 1 year. So she's got rough skin, granny appearance. Mind you, it's only happened in the last 2 years, that. And Amanda Millis, although she's 15 years younger than Stephanie, she's actually gone into more negative attraction than Stephanie, how she would say 2 years ago. So I saw her once when I visited Bridgewater last year, and in a charity shop, but I don't really speak because she doesn't remember me, because the last time I properly spoke was at Elmwood School, and that was going back to 1994 when I was basically a child myself. Anyway, there's a couple of things that were said and shouted. Is you're having a break-in where your stuff is kept. The bad news is this person has given the locker name, or the storage garage name, and also the number of my garage. I'd like to know where that's come from, because not even the staff know that, and I haven't mentioned it to the social worker or who else. So yeah, there we are, my Willie's up, loud bike. Yeah, getting fucked off with that. And white, so white car, loud bike. White, you. Yeah, right, you. Oh, black and blue, sorry, I didn't see that. Alright, hang on a minute, I'll finish this in a minute. Sorry about that. And then I just went to push record. Just as I was about to push record, a crow says, you're having a break-in. This is the next thing I want to mention, almost. Basically, like I said, I've been told specific neighbours weren't in last night, but whatever was happening last night, it was a very fucking rough night. It all started from about 4:30 a.m. onwards, right through to the time, well, basically, staff office opens at 8 a.m, almost. There's been a few remarks from the staff where I live, because of reports that are in my folder. Now, there's been a couple of lies that have been made up, and it's actually gone to social services in the past, and it's a piece of information that I shouldn't be knowing about, apparently. Apparently, I was supposedly meant to have kicked and punched my nan, which I've never done in my whole life, and also my dad's ex-partner Esme. I was supposedly supposed to have punched her and kicked her, which is not true. So I'm not very happy about that. The other thing I wanted to mention is there's a couple of things that were reported for some letters that I posted to 10 Downing Street, which I brought up as well, and they made the excuse that I'm trying to rape women off the streets, or children off the streets or whatever, in 2015. We got the issue where my report says that I've been trying to kill seagulls with weed killer on bread. It's not actually weed killer, it's water. I did some videos on YouTube going back in 2016 area, because I was getting fed up with seagulls making sounds telling me to fuck people that raped me as a child, and telling me that I'm being knife dead, and the voice sounds were getting out of hand and getting nasty. So I got a little bit annoyed about it, so I made some fake videos to say that the creator God's turned, and I've not had anyone in my whole life and I'm being nailed as a sick cunt by God's creatures. So that's that. Back to the threats that we had last night. There's a couple of things that have been said, and that is he's getting a break-in. The staff don't give a fuck about him, because they don't go fucking shoot him dead. so he's going to fucking go. They'll be happy if he's dead as well, sort of thing. So it's that attitude, said in different ways, but that's being said, anything from my coming to you is my doorway, and I go fucking smash a knife in him, take his fucking life and take all his stuff, to say that you're having a double robbery, so not to just be at the place where my stuff is stored, but also to be in that flat, but also to get nasty and to take my life. As I said many times before, when I get these threats, whether I'm mistaken as Liam Savannah or my real name Justin, 99.9% of all threats that have ever occurred in my whole life is down to sexuality, and it's the same today. And the only sex I've had is basically, the best way to put it is me being sexually abused as a child. So that's the best it gets, and I've been terrorised with all these fucking threats. Almost had my life taken, almost been knifed, had a bottle smashed across my head about 20 years ago, walking down the canal in Bridgewater, and been pushed in the canal. Coincidentally, a couple of days before that, someone had a dead body there was a dead body in the canal. So, you know, if there wasn't CCTV or me walking back with a wet coat, I could have gone down for murder, you know, if they got clues from my body, which isn't, you know, when I was innocent and didn't do nothing. And also there's been all the threats I used to have in the past, it's always on sexuality, the whole lot. Well, I've reached that area which I call the catalytic converter hot point, where I choked every time I reach that point. There's a grey car and a black and blue car. A grey sexual car, sorry, and black and blue. I couldn't avoid being choked out by a catalyst, because the government wants to tell me that having sex with a catalytic converter is to tell me that's the smell of a granny. Not a sexual woman, a granny. That's their term. Anyway, so I was going to mention, if I did ever, you know, lose all my stuff or on this, I remember going back to 2007 area. Even some of my enemies said this, but they weren't one-sided like they were today. They said if you ever lose your information or your deep depression life story back, because some of them knew about it, because I did post the sheets originally to Bridgewater Mercury and Taunton Gazette, going back in 2002 and 2003 area. And some of the people found out who posted them and said that my life has been not very good, saying that you deserve to have a sexual partner, and saying that, well, they actually said in some ways that he shouldn't be touched by the police, there shouldn't be nothing wrong with, nothing, you know, nothing like that. I said, until he's been found out or he's had sex, that they shouldn't be doing nothing at all. You know, they said he should be entitled to anything he wants, saying if he ever loses his deep depression pages or life story pack, then obviously I should be compensated rightly with a partner or a sex partner, and saying if it, you know, it'd be cold as fuck if I didn't, and that occurred. And then they said they'd be questioning certain problems. Well, that's not the case anymore, because come 2006 area, no, a bit later, I don't know when it is, 2008 I think it was, the beginning of the Stephanie Jill threat came in, where people were making stuff out, and because of that, a lot of this stuff that was said that I'd be entitled to somebody if I ever lose my music or let them lose or whatever because of sexuality, saying that if you lose that on you know, they weren't one-sided back then, and they weren't one-sided even when I was living in Bridgewater before the last day I left. Obviously, it started to become that way, especially when the knife attack occurred at Bridgewater Fair, which is nothing involved with me or anything to do with that. It's a different issue altogether. But that would have been the time period when it started to change. And I did find out that just a couple of months after I moved to Burnham-on-Sea, that part of Bridgewater turned rough. But like I said, I wasn't there to experience it, but apparently that's what happened. When I moved to my old new place in Burnham, there was literally, apart from my ex-mugger passing, because he was still near enough trying to get up to his old tricks, because I knew his name and all the rest of it, he's sort of just saying and shouting a few things when he passed now and again. And then he calmed down, there's no problems at all. Until, for the whole 8 years I was there basically, but then he started to sort of, 6 months before I moved, started to play, you know, following me again. I thought it was interesting. Either way, that's the end of that. When we come to the end of 2015, that was when I was being mistaken as this Savannah. And then Liam came in a little bit later. Though I was looking at the My Life Story Deep Depression packs recently, and there's a possibility this Liam threat could have gone back a bit further in 2015, but If it was, I don't recall it being mentioned that often, if at all. So it must be something. It might have been another Liam, I don't know. I must have misheard, I don't know. But whatever it was, I don't think it actually came into roughly 2016, that threat. So anything that's before that could be related to the same Liam, but like I said, I really need to go through there's a lot to go through. I wouldn't do it if, it'd take me about 5 years to go through everything. Anyway, so that's that. Regarding sexuality, because I was younger in the time that people were saying I should be with, they said you should be with someone exactly the same as what they stopped you getting, which was Amy Weston. Well, that's not possible, because Amy Weston was literally just a bit older than a teenager, and it's not very often that you have women that have that sort of smooth appearance, which is known as like what people say the extremely sexy type or the model type. It was actually even back in at that time, seeing a female that's as sexy as what Amy was is almost impossible. Even Gabby Borges, the American actress and American singer in America, even she's not as hot as Amy. But and it even gets even better, because this Amy, right, she's actually been with all the friends in her Facebook friends list, which is roughly 5,000 at the time, and that goes back to 2000 and whatever. And obviously, well, my willy's high up over bike, yeah, willy impulses, shooting impulses, sexual impulses in my penis, willy up, you're on your bike. 2008 was the start of all this, when the Fathers for Justice event was taking place and there's scaffolding around my building. Well, that's the same year where they released the Lady Gaga Just Dance to apply Justin is a mental case. It doesn't say that, but it can apply that. So you had that, and then my willy bashed about with a loud bike tying to an erection. But back then, there's about half the bikes on the road, not every fucking single bike tying to an erection. And that's one thing that's really pissed me off from 5:55 a.m. this morning right through to basically now, because most of the setups that are occurring at the moment, walking down here, is to tell me that I'm on my bike, mate, and my willy's going up and that they're cheering and laughing about it with other setups of vehicle names or whatever. So anyway, on your bike, your willy's fixed like a pulley with a loud bike tying to an erection. Well, 2008 was the time period when people started to really turn against me. But it wasn't all one-sided, because some people were saying that the government turned against them, or the government are cruel bastards or whatever, using this industrial force. But most of them were mentioning the Illuminati, the elite, and the New World Order for being the cause of the setups that were occurring in my direction, which lowered the amount of enemies that I was having back at that time. And then people were putting graffiti everywhere, in places where I wouldn't even dare put graffiti because there's CCTV cameras, but saying "wake up" or whatever on signposts. So that was happening all across Bridgewater back at that time. So anyway, just give you a quick update on the weather as well. When I woke up, I didn't really go to sleep, to be honest. I had a bit of sleep through the night, but not that much. Well, when I woke up, yes, it was very grey and very cloudy. One of those sorts of days where I felt I want to go out. But because I had a hangover and a massive headache, I decided to chuck the last bit of Jägermeister out, or Jägermeister, however you ever pronounce it, because obviously that's the one that's causing the headaches and I'm getting very ill from it. And I actually was ill in the toilet as well, so yeah, it's not good. So then I stayed in bed until basically just gone, near enough 2 p.m. basically, and then obviously I'm going for a walk now. Well, basically when I left it was still grey and cloudy, and I've reached the destination of where I am now, and as you can see on this film, as you probably noticed from roughly I think it's around just when I started filming this, the sun started to come out, so the start of this documentary I'm doing today. Yeah, so it's sunny. But there's nothing you can do about it, because they keep on cursing me with this type of weather. Going back to what I was saying earlier, where enemies said that I should be entitled to anything, and if I ever get a break-in, or if I ever lose my music or my life story pack, which is known as Deep Depression, then they're going to have to compensate you with a girlfriend or something like that. Even enemies were saying that back in that time. I don't know what it was that was mentioned in the Deep Depression packs that I posted to the Bridgewater Somerset Gazette, Taunton Gazette or Bridgewater Mercury back in that time. But there must have been something on there where they said you're entitled to someone, you should be having someone sexy. Well, that's all died out. It's all the reverse today. It's all today is you're not supposed to have sexual types of women. You're a sick cunt if you don't go with anybody over the age of 40. You're supposed to be with negative attraction, pizza faces, faces that look like dry stones or dry stone material, faces that look like warts or fiery or burnt in fire, burnt faces, like, you know, where it's been in the fire. If it is saying that you're supposed to be with that sort of attraction, that you're a real sick cunt if you don't. Saying that everyone's a stale person, that you've got to go with a stale piece of shit, or everyone's a single mother, everyone's been made a single mother. Well, if that's the case, as I mentioned on videos the other day, that makes everybody in the world a sick cunt if anybody's had sex under the age of 40. And then in recent times, it hasn't happened today, the last couple of days, but I'm being told that anyone that has sex with anyone over the age of 40 is a sick bastard. So that means I've had my life put in jeopardy, and the only sex Jesus wants me to have, if that's the case, is people that sexually raped me as a child and telling me to go on my bike and go whistle. And I'm getting fucked off with the loud bikes tying to erections. At my old place, the loud bike tying to an erection increased from what it was in Bridgewater West Street. Just before I actually moved from Bridgewater and West Street, they did get 90% or 80% of loud bikes on the road tying to an erection. And there were days where they managed to get every bike on the road tying to an erection. But it wasn't as tight as what it is today. When I moved to Burnham-on-Sea, apart from the first 6 months, every loud bike that passed on that road since I lived there, apart from about 50 per year for the first couple of years, or 3 years, they managed to get every single bike on that road tying to an erection, and I was fucking losing my temper over it. I kept my cool, but I was losing my temper. And since I moved to Yeovil, not so much last year, because last year I was timing people to sneeze in my face roughly 30 to 140 times per day, and I had lots of people photographing me, which is usually on an average 50 times per day. Threats roughly 50 to 100, just over 100 per day. Bad days can be 140, but you can't go much higher than that. Much higher than that sort of goes into record-breaking levels. So sort of when you reach 200 and 150 onwards, they got to be calculated as a bit more serious. But you know, just below that, the amount of times it happened not far from going in that area was literally every other day. But sorry about this bit. Right, as far as 2023 goes, obviously it's been rough as fuck as usual. But March, June period, July period 2022 was very, very rough. It's been rough since that time. I've been threatened to be knifed and shot down and injected with HIV. There's been gunshots in the building and whatever else. That still occurs, but since the new staff have worked at Thorn House where I live, it has actually calmed down quite a bit, but you still get those nights where it can be 70-80% as bad as the nastiest night, mind. And it can still piss you off even at that level of problem. Right, anyway. The animal voice sounds since December 2022 have been on the increase. It's not record breaking, but there have been some record breaking clarity voices, and there have been days where it's been excessive and record breaking for like a short time period of how it's occurring in one go, or around negative and things happening around me, or those sorts of specific times. Between the 7th of May, for I don't know how long, but it's in the months, they increased the setups fucking big time. But the one thing they did is just 1 week after, or around the same time, they managed to get 6 weeks of roughly 800 to over 1,000 loud bikes tying to an erection each and every single day as the warmer weather came in that time period from the 7th of May onwards. And I was losing my temper, and I posted a load of shit to Downing Street moaning about the loud bike being deliberately tied to an erection. 6 weeks persistently. The lowest possible amount of bikes in one day tying to erection in that 6 week period was 400, which occurred just a couple of times. That's also record breaking, not once over but twice over, from any loud bike that's been tied to my fucking penis going up when I was living at any of my old places. So yeah, I was not very happy about that. And obviously, in the Christmas time period, they do the same, or the New Year's period. They do it while wanking and coming. They do it while you've got an itchy bumhole, an itchy penis bell end, or a tingling bell end that's a bit itchy, or you get like a slight painful click, you know, type of pain. No matter what it is, they got my fucking penis rigged up with a bike, fixed like a fucking pulley, and I'm getting fucked off with it because they got it not just fixed, but they got it fixed to every bike on the road. They don't allow a single bike to pass. And the alternative they do is when they're setting up stuff like timing a lookalike to someone who sexually abused me as a child tying to an erection. Quite often when they do that, they do it with a baby being bounced about in a sling afterwards, or setting up vehicles like cheering van followed by a yeah van. Now that happens quite frequently. 2022 is a record-breaking year for timing lookalikes to people that sexually abused me as a child tying to an erection. But even when they're doing that, there's no escaping a loud bike. The loud bike or the bike in my direction is tying to an erection regardless of what other things are set up around my penis when this occurs. That bike's got to be there even if it's in the distance when other setups are occurring, when erections occur. So I'm getting a bit pissed off about that as well. So anyway, going back to what I was saying earlier, I said that the people's enemies, or people that whoever was saying it back in 2000 up to 2008 area, said that you should be entitled to someone. You're never going to get arrested from the police until you've actually had anyone because of how your life has been. Well, my life's got 50 times worse than that since they said that, mind. A lot worse. And I have been arrested since that time. Yeah, that was not the case of what they said. That didn't come true. And I still not had sex in my life. So yeah, so just shows how cold it gets and how cold my life's gone. And this is why it's gone into me posting my documentation like USB sticks or CD recorded discs before starting USB sticks later on to foreign governments and conspiracy theorists around the world complaining about my fucking problems being ripped to pieces on sexuality. Well, it's actually too late to do anything now because I'm 43 and they don't allow the age gap either. Going back in the time when my enemies were saying this, you could get people roughly my age now that could get an 18-year-old, no problem at all. It wasn't seen as sick or anything like that. But we're in a totally different time. This is over, like, you know, this is 20 years ago, and things are a lot more nasty and a lot more fucked up today. And it's the media, government, music industry, and the TV industry which is twisting people's minds. And believe it or not, they've tried causing break-ins, me getting attacked, putting paedophiles or child killers on telly that resemble my face, bringing out music tracks to say that I'm this and that, twisting things, and it's caused a lot of trouble with thousands of incidents in that time. They've also blocked roads off, taken public transport off, caused fuel explosions on the M5 from me meeting up anyone on dating sites back in that time, and also clairvoyant predictions have been put through as well. And out the most serious clairvoyant prediction of Delora that works at Tesco's, well, the Savem threat came in, and then everybody turned against me from 2015 onwards. So yeah, that's how it's been. Just to let you know, at the time, enemies, because some of these were actually enemies, but friendlier enemies, that said I should be entitled to something saying everybody's had a sexual teenager or whatever back in those times. Well, I've had nothing in my whole life and it's too late to do anything, obviously, I said that. But believe it or not, it's before I had a digital camera, before I started audio recording with digital devices, and before I started photographing old streetlights. That's how far back it is when that was said. Right, also, I want to mention that in between doing these recordings, or stopping the recording, I've dropped my phone twice, and the battery's come out, and I've also dropped the this camera 3 times. Right, when it comes to this Stephanie business, which I've mentioned in this recording, I knew her in 1994, just before I left Elmwood School, and then I saw her again at Hollywood Bowl, but I didn't actually get to communicate or anything like that because I was in a separate group of people at that time, and this was connected to a different school at that time. So I was at Avalon School when this occurred, so I didn't get to speak to her or anything like that. And then I didn't really see her, I don't think. There might have been a time she's passed and I've seen her like when I've been in Dad's car or something like that. I do not remember, but After that, it's in the charity shop. That's the next time I saw her. Now, I didn't really speak as such because there were some rough people in that charity shop and they were getting a bit uncomfortable, and I was not very happy about it. And then obviously it's from that time onwards where the sexual threats began, with Stephanie being involved. I saw her one more time, or a couple of times after that, but in sort of busy places when I was passing these sorts of rough people, and I was getting threats by these people that are claiming that I've been with her or doing this and doing that with her basically every single time I saw her. Then there was a final time I saw her, which was at the bus station in Bridgewater. At the time she had a very bad cold, a runny nose, and then that's the last time I saw her. And then after that she's been in a sexual relationship with some bloke. I don't know who the bloke is, but whoever the bloke is still in a sexual relationship with her today. I've seen her since, you know, from time to time. There's times where she's looked like she's been single, but even if she was single, because her appearance has changed dramatically in the last couple of years, looking like an old fogey with rough skin and rough body, similar to the Lisa Pike picture, in fact. But you know, that's the times. You know, she's basically roughly about 40 now. You see, so you're going to get that. So it'd be, you know, it wouldn't be someone I'd be able to ask if single or like that. It's not like it used to be. I don't take to this sort of attraction, and people have left it too late. Yes, and that's what I mean. This is why I'm getting angry when I'm getting all these threats. Which leads us on to the next subject, and that is if I ever get a break-in, because I've had break-ins before. I've one of my storage places that I was at a garage that I kept my stuff in has been broken into this year. I've lost 20 years of data and music, audio recordings, and well, not audio recordings, but record rips, which is basically where I've saved records on Audacity, jungle tracks, old school ones. I've lost every single track that's been taken from a record, believe it or not. I don't actually have illegal tracks. All the rescued music that I have is from the USB sticks that are lying off the floor, the CDs I had left before I gave them to a neighbour to have. And I rescued in total 34 tracks, and then I put a few other tracks on a CD. So it's only like a less than half a CD full of tracks, DVD full of tracks. And then initially I burnt them to M-Disc, couldn't do it because of the banging and all the rest of it. And then I found out later on that they're doing away with the interface. They're doing away with discs altogether. So I just put it on hard drive basically, and then kept it safe on electronics instead. I did have a few of the records, so I could have rescued some of the tracks from the records that I had left. But unfortunately, Helen, who's one of the staff care workers that's in the supported housing I live, was trying to be helpful and open the windows for me when I was out, and she seeing if she could turn the heating off, and I had my records lying against the radiator. Well, when I came back, because the heater was on for too long, every single record got damaged. And I can tell you now, the heating was she actually turned it on instead of turned it off. So I had to chuck every single record away. So I've actually lost everything. So when those USB sticks gave up the ghost in July, because what happened is the saving capacity failed and it crushed all the data. And the person in the computer shop, when I took it into the computer shop, said they're probably only designed to hold something like 1 gigabyte, if that, and then they stretch out the capacity, and then once it can't hold any more, it just crushes into itself and breaks all the data to pieces, which is not retrievable. And said it's not uncommon. And then I was telling the person in the computer shop, yeah, but how does a whole 18 USB sticks do this at the same time? And he just said it's not. He said it's not uncommon for that to occur. He says not if you're buying cheap USB sticks that have been gutted out and replaced with a different cheapy chip to just basically rob you of money. That's what they're doing, to make money and rob you. So that's what's happened. And obviously there's been other issues as well. You know, and I've been told throughout my time that if any of this sort of problem occurs, you'll be entitled to a girlfriend. That goes back to 2006. That would never occur. It's too late. So basically, when I do these conspiracies now, I nearly lost half of that, but because they were on those USB sticks, believe it or not, those Deep Depression Life Story packs, were actually on those USB sticks, and they did take up a big dosage of those USB sticks as well. I didn't have every pack on there, but I had the deep depression ones in particular, the 1 to 9 series, which is I think it's 9 4.7 gigabyte folders, or what fills up a DVD when you burn a DVD. Nowadays I don't work it on the principle of a DVD, because I don't use DVDs or discs much anymore when saving data, so I just cram it as much as, one folder, when I feel that I need to do another folder, do it like that, rather than level it up to the amount that you've got on a disc. Well, I did actually lose a lot of that stuff as well, but because I had that specific information backed up on other USB sticks, not many, I still managed to retrieve that information. Then obviously I bought 4 hard drives, and now I can guarantee it's completely safe. I paid quite a lot for the hard drives because I wanted to get reliable ones, but at least I can guarantee that my music will be retrievable, safe, and if there's any problems, then obviously it's easier to retrieve than it is from a USB stick or any electronic storage device that's like a USB stick or an SD card, basically. So that's good. And also you get a warning with hard drives before they start packing up. I mean, some pack up, but when you got it on 4, you should be pretty much okay. I did initially put it online on it was like Dropbox online storage, like Google storage sort of thing, but unfortunately the FBI or the CIA were complaining about the content of my stuff that was on there, and I had to close my account, and they never refunded me in the end. But they're not exactly sure what the reason is why they needed to close my account, because there's nothing that was affecting them that was on there. But either way, I can't use online storage without that problem either. So that's basically the best it gets. I lost most of my music, and even the cryo chamber records, which is the dark ambient alternative, I've even lost a lot of that, because when I had the when I was renting the garage and I put my stuff in there, the pre-chords to that and a load of M discs and camping stuff went missing, and this is why I've had to rent another place which is a bit more secure to keep some of the other stuff. And how long I'll keep it there I don't know, because I might have to bring it back to my place for several reasons, and because I'm at the verge of losing everything. This is the problem. I can't keep my stuff safe anymore. And, when I'm being told I'm being broken into, and you've got to take into account, it's all on sexuality. I'm mistaken as Sven, mistaken as Liam. I've got all this stuff, and it's in danger of being in jeopardy of me losing all my evidence of me being sexually ripped to pieces all my life. So what do I do then? Especially when you've got animals going ha ha ha, crows ha ha ha, or saying fuck whatever, or saying you're being knifed down, or saying this. Even occurring when I discovered that I had my the garage busted into, which I no longer rent, and I've had to go for another garage in a more secure area. So yeah, I'm not very happy about this at all. And the day that occurred, the animal voice sounds were off the scale, and I lost evidence and photographic evidence on that day. And not only that, I had a whole load of fucking threats on that day on sexuality, getting aggressive, and people photographing me thinking I'm a savant, with setups around me constructed heavy and hard, even on that day. But if we go back before that time, even when I went to Bridgewater Magistrates Court and in a police car to go to the police station because the police arrested me for things that they thought they just wanted to dig up me, basically, in that time. They didn't really know me that well, and they just thought, oh, sexuality, that bastard can go down, They're just looking for things to arrest me on in that day. But they know me a bit more better today than what they did there. Back then, they were a bit more one-sided. But even when I was in court and whatever else, they hammered those fucking setups extra nastily, extra heavy at the time that occurred when I was being driven to Magistrates Court and the police station. And they were timing loud bikes, timed to erections, while I was in police custody as well. So yeah, it doesn't get any better than that, does it? They just want me ripped to fucking pieces, these people are setting these setups up. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm too old to have anyone. No one's going to allow the age gap. I've had my wrists and throat cut. So I certainly live up to my name, just in time. Justin Langford, just in time. Serve time, living up to your name time, being hanged your fucking time. As simple as that, nothing you can do about it. But it gets even better, because when I started going into the religious scene, Christianity, I decided to worship Christ and think, well, I'll do that for a couple of years, which I did just before I moved to where I am now in Yeovil. And believe it or not, worshipping Christ just aggravates and makes situations a lot worse and nastier, and things just got a lot worse. And 2022 is the worst direct threat year in my whole life out of every year that I've lived. So yeah, Jesus certainly helps. And I've almost been attacked and more at church places and places like that. Seagulls have gone, ha ha, has allowed bikers time to erection, or ha ha, saying Christ has turned, ha ha, you're going to the fire of hell. Or saying, or bringing that Stephanie up. Jesus Christ, or the Creator God, keeps on thinking I've been with a Stephanie, or had sex with a Stephanie. And done it in such a way where he wants me to go to hell. But that validates some lies from Rapture Dream kids on YouTube, and adults that get them as well. There's one baby that says that Justin is going to hell. He said he won't be forgiven or something like that. There's another, a Korean artist that draws a picture saying what it looks like in hell. And it's got a picture of me, a similar looking face to me, having my penis being tortured by demons in the fire of hell. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, the Bible says you're not supposed to have sex before marriage. Jesus said in this script in the New Testament that you should be with a sexual woman and a sexual lady in your youth, like everybody else, and saying, and addresses that masturbation is a sin, a serious sin that can lead to hell after death if you do that. Well, I'm 43 years of age and God stopped me getting anyone. He's caused my enemies to stop me getting anyone. So that still counts as well, does it? And the next one gets even better, because there's a documentary that mentions if you commit suicide because you've had such a bad life and don't want to live anymore, or suffering in sort of in sickness or feeling drowned, you can't commit suicide. You commit suicide, God puts you in hell. The Bible's absolutely against me. The amount of Bible verses, especially when it comes to sexuality and love and anything like that, you're thinking you're trying to worship it for love, and everything's just against you, and things just get worse and worse. In the end, for safety reasons, I had to sort of go into the church, and I started going to the Jehovah's Witnesses. Again, I'm not really religious, but I just like to get out and do things. There's nothing to do in Yeovil. There's no part-time voluntary work, and any work I've tried in the past, or jobs I've tried in the past, especially before 2013, I mean, you could go to like a workplace, for example, and just give you an example, and within the first 2 hours of being there, you've got the police there. That's how bad it is. You can't properly do work or do anything like that because you've got too many people starting on you. Anything you do, it has to be voluntary, and it has to be without people around. And because I'm being mistaken as Savenne in recent times on a mass, that just makes the issue just impossible nearly. So that when I'm doing these, even when I've sort of helped my father on jobs, there's been people who have been claiming I'm Savenne here and there, and it's been very difficult to even do that. So, these are like voluntary jobs, just helping out, at times, but what can you do? There's a pop band, a very commercial pop band, so it's on now, that's what I call music, called Scooter. Going back to 1995, he did a track called Friends and maybe a couple of other tracks, where people are claiming that I'm copying the music that he makes, when in fact all his tracks are twisted and buckled against me in a nasty way. Anything to getting me shot dead, to hitting me off on the weekend track, to twisting Scooter's night against me, telling me to fuck people that raped me as a child, while reversing the consequences of me being the one that's a sick bastard, to how it's to look to other people, to violent HIV injection needle suggestions like in the night track, to basically say that you're on your bike, mate, you've been injected with HIV needle basically, and to say that you've had AIM or Amy Weston when you haven't, and also saying that you're waiting for Maria. I think that's what it says in one of the tracks. Well, believe it or not, Maria's a very disabled lady that's very old and very ugly, and if we go back a couple of years, we're about 10 years ago, I can't remember the name of the van, but basically I'll have to use my term and expression for this because I can't remember exactly the full what it actually said, but it's basically a Zimmer frame van that said Maria for you, something like that. That's just a simple way of putting it. I can't remember the exact van or what it was called, but it was the same interpretation as what I'm saying now. So we have that. There's many tracks that have been twisted and buckled against me that have been used to try and hit me off or destroy me or to sexually take the piss out of me. But you know, there's nothing you can do about it, and it's going to keep on continuing. There's been hip hop tracks that are coming out, but it gets better because I'm being mistaken as Sven everywhere. They're starting to make these tracks that are involving Sven, saying that he's a dangerous person and rapist and woman beater, and that's coming back at me because I'm being mistaken as that person in a mass. Also, when it comes to Scooter's music, I forgot to mention in the weekend, I can't remember what track it was in, because I don't listen to that sort of music, because it's happy, jolly, sexual club music that people in clubs listen to. Well, it's basically chart music, in fact, because this sort of stuff's on there now. That's what I call music CDs. Anyway, going back in 2003 area, people were actually chucking away old school jungle, or claiming that jungle music is a load of shit. And because of this stupid fucking night trackers, like, all my enemies were getting in sexual relationships with teenagers and saying, oh, you want to chuck away all that drum and bass stuff, all that jungle stuff, saying, you start listening to Scooter brightens your life up with a partner or a girlfriend. It's sort of like that, against you, because you've not had anyone, and taking your music out of the scene, trying to say that you need to burn all your music, and all your music's rubbish. So, yeah, I forgot to mention that. Something else that's interesting that I wanted to mention, since I've remembered it, this only happened up to about 2010, so not before, or no, maybe a bit before that. It's before I had the internet at home, using a dongle stick. But I was using the internet at the library. I remember when all the threats were occurring at the Palace nightclub, and you know, back in that time, and I was hearing conversations, or I was told through threats and other things, even remarks in the street, that my enemies, my friends or people that used to know me, have actually been paid off to turn against me, or they've been found out a partner to turn against me, basically. So that's quite a frequent thing that I said, not something that was rare either. So I thought I'd just mention that. Going back to my story, my life deep depression pages, or whatever you want to call it, my life story packs, throughout time I have lost quite a lot of information. Although I still have a big bulk of it, there is still a lot that's gone. But it gets even better, because in the slots that I've lost, or the information that I've lost, happens to be when the setup seemed to be extra nasty and extra heavy and extra malicious and extra, you know, in that sort of way. And it seems to be that real core information that I could have done with, for hard evidence, has actually been lost or destroyed. And also on one occasion, this is in the 2013 area, I think it is, I saw Stephanie Jill on the bus, or Hill on the bus, and in that time period, something happened to my hard drive, and it just wiped clean everything that was on there, and I didn't have any of my information backed up. And again, I lost a big chunk of information in my life story packs. So just wanted to mention that as well. Right, so I reached the end of the road and I need to time the car. Yeah. And also there's cows having sex. I never managed to photograph it in time. Taking away all the threats that have occurred at Thorn House, and taking away all the setups and the problems while I go out, because that would take literally hours and hours and hours just to mention the last 2.5 years I've been there. Initially I was only supposed to be there 2 years. It was 1 year, because I wasn't actually supposed to move to that place, because the social worker wanted me to move to Ilminster, said it was a much more nicer place, but because we were in the middle of a lockdown and they couldn't do nothing and I needed to move, they had to put me at the where I am now. So that lockdown has caused a lot of problems, which is caused by the government, and has also stopped me getting a sex partner, if a sex partner was going to occur at Ilminster. So whether that would have occurred, I don't know, but whatever's happened, I've been stopped from getting anyone, and my life's been made hell, and I've been photographed by almost every person I walk into being mistaken as Sven, to shoot me dead, to take me out violently in a vicious knife attack, or to break my legs and break my fucking spine up, or to inject me with HIV, or to inject me with snake venom, or to take my fucking life, or to aggressively kill me, or you know, or to break in and take my keys off me, or to rob me and stuff like that. The mugging issue's on the increase, by the way, when it comes to that threat, since I moved to Yeovil. But anyway, let's cut the bloody... won't stop it, will they? I'm down a designated fucking path. They won't stop it, so I've got to go down here. Yeah, so the problem is I'm being choked by a catalytic converter all the time. That's what's annoying me. Right, anyway, back to the Thornhouse business. Basically, earlier, not long ago, I mentioned there was animals having sex, and then there's a red car. Well, that white van that just passed means to say red, white, you know, being stupid about it, knowing it's sexuality, then do they? Because I'm not a very happy fucking person about it. And going back to what I was saying, Thornhouse, since I lived there, how's it been and all the rest of it? I've been diverted. I'm not supposed to be down there, but well, I am. It's a public footpath, but what I mean is I shouldn't have had to come down here, but I've been forced down here basically. Right, since I lived at Thornhouse, the first 3 months when it comes with the staff has been okay, and then I had there's a money pack, a massive money pack in fact, that got stolen from my place. Believe it or not, it's £1,000, but it was there. It was there to basically pay for everything for when I moved there, like microwaves, TVs, and everything else. You know, washing machines, tumble dryers, bills, the curtains or whatever, but I didn't know what to expect when I moved there, you see. And then obviously that became a spare bit of money because I had no idea of what it was going to be like when I moved there, so I had to have this money pack prepared. Well, I had that stolen, and then obviously my old school tracks, because I was getting the higher benefits back in those days, meant I spent a lot on old school jungle, and the ones I told you about earlier, which are on the fireplace, there was over 500 quid, if not more, in value today that I lost, even though it's only a few records. I didn't know that the value of those records went sky high, but unfortunately I don't have those records anymore or anything like those records because of the issue that I just told you. There's been other bits and pieces that have gone missing, like cameras, digital audio recorders in times that are rough. Staff have told sort of, you know, there's also been a £250 money pack that I kept as an emergency in case there was any bank issues and I didn't have any money on me. That's gone missing as well, and that was gone missing in a place where I hid it very, you know, securely. But you know, so you can't do that. You just have to hope for the best and just do it that way. And then obviously, since I've been visiting in my old place, I went to the healing weekend. I was accused of theft in 2022. And I was photographed and saying that that's it, you're going to be paying for this and you're going to be fucking smashed out. Then the security guards try and arrest me and my dad to start rows with stuff that's made up against us, claiming that we're thieving when we were doing absolutely nothing wrong. The next thing that occurred is when I was camping, that Barrow and Kingscliff Woodland in the beginning of September, because I had an appointment at Highbridge or whatever. Believe it or not, in the time period that I was camping, I had well over 1,000 threats of being mistaken as Cevennes or remarks, just in the 9 days here and there that I was camping. For then they weren't all camping days, because on a couple of occasions I went back, because we went into a heat wave and it was 34 degrees Celsius in my bedroom at night. I couldn't put up with it, and I thought, I'm not doing this, so I decided to go and camp again. And this was at the beginning of September, so around about just gone the 5th, I can't remember the actual day. Anyway, on the first couple of nights I almost got caught with my tent. I paid to go on a camping site, but I had to leave because I was being mistaken as Cevennes, and people were getting nasty with me, threatening to smash my tent out, smash my fucking lights out, because they thought I was Cevennes. When I was camping rough for the 2 nights, initially, people were giving me threats saying I'm Cevennes here and there. Come the 5th, when we reached the 5th, so yeah, basically some bloke photographed me, a rough person, saying that I was Cevennes, and he's pretending to like me, saying this and that. Then he gets on the phone saying I got the child rapist here and that he needs to go, and he's said I got a description of him, got a photograph of him, got on the phone and he did that. And then there was an hour and a half of me pissing about in the graveyard in a dangerous situation, trying to find a way out and to move the tent to a different area on that specific evening. Loads of Cevennes threats. Someone had a plastic glove on and a snake t-shirt which looked like my ex-mugger, and there's a few other people, and even that Gemma Ferguson was on the beach looking towards where I was. I think she was looking to see where my tent was, I don't know, but whatever it was, it wasn't there to be good. It wasn't good action. Either way, and there was a person that was playing bongo drums on the beach, but they didn't give me any problems. In the end, I managed to camp, and then obviously the other camping trips, To keep a long story short, if we go into the second night of that, basically someone had their car smashed and there was a whole load of aggressive shouting and all the rest of it. They were thinking that it was Saven's car because this Saven apparently plays a guitar, and he takes his guitar to different bars and plays rock music or country music or whatever it is music he's into. I can't actually say what music he's actually into because I don't know who the chap is, but that's a person I'm being mistaken for by a mass by people. And some people that have given me that threat have actually said that I don't even look like Saven, so I don't know what he even looks like, but apparently people that are mistaking me as this person, others are saying that sometimes, not often, hardly at all, but it has been mentioned that this person doesn't look like me either. So there's definitely some shit stirring going on there. Anyway, at King's Cliff, there was threats to shoot me down under my nickname Jungle Justin back in the time when I was living at North Peverton. So there's a couple of people that knew who I was. There's 2 blanks being shot from a gun in the woodland. One lot of shouting aggressively to say, I'm going to fucking kill you, fucking child molester, just. Same sort of threat I get with Saven, but even back in the days when I was getting threats under my real name, it was covering that sort of information by some people, even though I've not had sex in my life apart from being raped as a child, basically. Anyway, while camping at these places, as I said, I was at the cliff doing 1 month before I moved to Yeovil back in 2021, early 21 or whatever it is, mid 21, a bit early, I think it was early, not sure. I was there for a month until I had to phone the police on 999 as someone said he was going to threaten to fucking smash me in and kill me and take me out, and I got very worried about it. Very similar to the person that calls himself Scott, who went to contact me on my mobile phone pretending to be a single lady because he wanted to smash me out at Highbridge railway station to smash me out onto the railway track at Highbridge, and because he said I was basically a paedophile and dangerous person, basically. And I had to call 999, but the police said it's not on CCTV, and they didn't believe anything I said when he did eventually reach me in Bridgewater pretending to be that person and threatened to smash me out and take my life and to basically take me out, fucking put me in a hospital bed. And I couldn't do nothing because this chap is actually harder build than me, probably about 3 or 4 times my strength to look at, muscly, very muscly. Nothing you can do there. You wouldn't be able to fight that person, and it's one of those sort of really rough types of people as well, so I was outnumbered with that. And then near that time I was getting threats under this Jeanette prostitute, who I nicknamed Michael Jackson prostitute, who was aged about 22 but looks nearer, sort of in between Michael Jackson, how he looks today, and Katie Derham on television. So not exactly the prettiest. She'd probably be worse looking than Lisa Pike today, because Lisa Pike, even when she was sort of about 16 or whatever, had some form of skin type that was sexual looking to, even though she looks like not the type that I can fancy today. So this lady's probably a little, when she gets to Lisa Pike's age, of how Lisa Pike, she's probably going to be look a bit worse than Lisa, so she's definitely not an attractive lady. But according to one of the neighbours where I used to live, it was a setup by Dan to get money out of me for the old neighbour to move out and the new neighbour to move in. And then that specific neighbour, he stopped all the gun sounds, he stopped all the threats, and there was no trouble from that specific neighbour for basically near enough, well, just over 2 years until I moved. But anyway, going back to the story that I was mentioning, when I was camping, there's a specific night that I was at King's Cliff Woodland, and there's some BMXers and motorbikers I didn't actually get much trouble from, believe it or not. But on one of the nights also, there was the police with an ambulance. Apparently there's some people up there having a fight, a massive fight, argument, when I was coming back from a walk to return to my tent, and apparently they, this person wanted to basically take Savannah out, and it's gone into a nasty argument where it's involved the police. The police actually spoke to me, said what's my name, I showed my identification to them, Justin and all the rest of it, and they said what are you doing, and so I said I'm camping, and said well really you're not supposed to do that, but they said being the time of night it is, it's not a problem, and said and said that the area that you chose is certainly not an area that's going to distract people. It's away from kids, it's away from people, he said. So it's a good choice of area, but in future we do prefer it if you don't camp. And if you do get told off, you will have to move, do as the farmer says or whatever. And just left it at that, saying this is okay to camp, but they do prefer you to use a camping site. But like I said, I didn't use the camping sites because when I paid for that camping site I mentioned initially, for the first night of the whole journey of the 9 days I was camping, it wasn't all 9 days I was camping, I don't think, I can't remember, it's about that, it's about somewhere around that, because I came back on 2 nights I think it was to my place. But either way, on the last night of coming back from Kingscliff, over 50 people were mistaking me as Sven, both even people that are old people like dog walkers and people in cars giving me looks or saying that I'm Sven or whatever, and when that's not even my name. And that's before I even reached the main road. When I got to the main road, there was very heavy setups, heaviest I've ever known North Peverton, waiting for the bus. When I got on the bus, there was perhaps mistaking me as Sven, heavy setups going into the start of Taunton. Went to Lidl's, 5 threats in Lidl's, being mistaken as Sven in Taunton, which is down the bottom end of Taunton. And several people in cars were shouting across at me, thinking I'm Sven. And then obviously I got on the bus, I was being photographed by everybody on the back of the bus because I was at the front of the bus because it was packed and the rough people the battery went flat. So I'm just going to recap on what happened. So I went to Lidl's and obviously I had 5 threats in Lidl's. Then people were starting throwing threats at me from cars. While walking to the bus stop, I think there's about 5 people that started making remarks as they passed. 2 were quite nasty. Then obviously there's people on the back of the bus photographing me, thinking I was Sven and threatening, saying I'm going to have my life taken or be smashed out, or stuff like that. When I got to Yeovil, there was also 2 threats walking back to my place from the bus station when I completed the camping trip of the story that I just mentioned. Someone in a car has just fucking had a row with me, saying you're a fucking pervert, I'll smash him out if he comes anywhere near here. And then he's said something else and a few other things I didn't quite catch because the water's running through the stream. But I can tell you now, there's a car in this place, possibly the same driver with the registration plate LT54URF. That might not be the same car, but the likelihood is it is. And that's he's gone to that house, which is I believe the place is called Stowford. I'm not sure, or the edge of Barrack, but I think it's more towards Stowford. Anyway, leave it there. Being life dead, you wait, you fucking paedophile, said as someone I have to let someone pass because I have to divert because structural amount of people irritatingly in my direction and I'm not moved for it because I've got a hangover as and that's why I've been coming for a walk and doing the video I've been doing. I'm about to hit the catalytic converter hot point. Let's see if they can basically set up another fucking load of vehicles, shall we? Because they never fucking fail on this fucking part. Well, they haven't since January or February. Fucking hell. Yeah, they fucking stopped me crossing. Little bastards. Yeah, it's chokes by a catalyst. The catalyst is supposed to fuck. Well, I passed via stepping in dog shit, and now the MP3 player is playing up, and I was choked by a catalytic converter, and now we've got animal crap sounds. Well, it looks like the MP3 player doesn't want the headphone jack wants to play up, and so does it on my laptop as well. Well, I've taken my headphones off, and I'm just going to allow God to say what He wants to say to me. And at the moment, my Willie's being vampirised by a fucking loud bike, so I've got to put up with a loud bike to a fucking erection. Right, I've ripped my fucking MP3 player out, and I'm going to listen to I'm a child rapist, I'm having a knife smashed to me, I'm breaking in, you're being injected with HIV and fucking crooked. Alright, well I'm listening to that, Christ. You want to fucking start, Christ? I'll get very fucking nasty about it. But I've taken my MP3 player out for you, so that you can fucking throw that down my fucking throat, you evil cunt. Because I can't do nothing, because the fucking headphone jack's fucked. Okay, so I'm listening to that, alright, Christ? I'm listening to your fucking coarse information, you wretched bastard. Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about sex. Let's talk about you and me, shall we? Because that's what a car just went past playing that. So obviously Jesus wants my fucking headphones ripped out, the fucking socket broken to tell me about sex, okay? So we're going to talk about sex, alright? Well, what about sex? Well, yeah. So what sex, Christ? What is sex? You crap bastard. It looks like they stepped up the traffic on this road, and I'm being forced to have my penis hit about with a loud bike tying to an erection. But you know, I can't have my own MP3 player because Jesus Christ wants me to listen to my willy going up to a bike. There's nothing I can do about it. Jesus has made that decision. Jesus is telling me that you're not listening to your fucking music. And also, let's talk about sex, baby. There's just about 4 minutes ago was playing in the car. So Jesus wants to tell me about sex and about loud bikes to erection. So there's nothing I can do about it. The bastard's coven. The bastard's causing the dark arts against me. Well, it's making perfect sense that Jesus Christ wants to tell me that my willy's got to go hard over a loud bike. That's the answer. Christ is making it fucking clear, okay? He is making it fucking clear. I mean, he is making it fucking clear. Shall I tell you why? Because about 8 minutes ago, my MP3 player, I've been fucking about with it for 10 minutes trying to get some sound instead of being in one speaker and without a connection properly. Well, we've got the same problem on my laptop. I can't listen to music on my laptop because the air fucking jack is fucked. So, alright, Jesus Christ wants me to listen to frets, my willy going up to a loud bike and being fucking hammered to fuck with sexuality. So obviously Christ is fucking rubbing it in. And with Christmas coming up, I can tell you now it's going to be very fucking rough. So if I turn nasty, you blame Christ, because Christ is the bastard that's cursing me with it. I mean, you don't go to church for 2.5 years for your life to fucking worsen. But that's Jesus Christ for you. I mentioned this earlier in the documentary. That's him, I'll fucking bang him out said. So Jesus wants to tell me that as well, while fucking my MP3 player up with the earphone jack. Shot dead. So there we are. Jesus is having a say with me. Let's find fucking centre where I can't listen to any music. The bastard wants my fucking ears open to tell me what he wants to me to fucking hear. Little cunt. Right, we've hit the car colliding area. Where they need to hit me off, where the government needs to tell me that I'm sent past it. Where the government will tell me that I need to be choked out by a catalyst. Right. There we are, I've crossed, because obviously there's going to be a car. Usually it's a lot busier than this, but we're going to start this. They've got to get any evidence, I'm filming it. As a learner car, so that's a nice, clever way to get me off. So there we are, nicely on the corner. So it's a situation where you can't cross. So they've got me on the corner, so there we are, there. And then there's a car on the other side to stop me crossing anyway. So around. And it's a set again. Black knife shaped car and blue. I didn't manage to write it down, but and a black sexual car tied trailer with a overhang, trying to rip my legs off. Sad chap, drains hit over, penis up bike 2 times, black and fucking blue right over drain, grey over drain. About 200 cars in total. Knife shaped, lovely timed. Next knife, I want more knife, better knife shaped. Oh, and then the third knife shaped. Black and blue sexual, black white sick, grey white, black and blue, black sexual, black sexual, black sexual, sick, blue, black sick, white sick, black and blue sick, grey white, black grey, choked by catalyst. Train hit over, walking to a rough crowd.